Russian President Vladimir Putin's military lost 950 troops, 30 tanks, and 59 artillery systems in a single day, Ukraine's military said in an update on Thursday. The General Staff of Ukraine's armed forces posts figures on Russia's troop and equipment losses as part of its daily update on the full-scale invasion, which began in February 2022. Moscow lost 950 soldiers over the past 24 hours, according to the Ukrainian military's latest casualty toll of Russian troops, bringing the total to 379,610. Russia has also lost a total of 6,257 tanks, 9,067 artillery systems, 11,621 armored combat vehicles, 12,044 vehicles and fuel tanks, and 331 military jets in the ongoing war, the update said. Estimates of casualty numbers vary, with Ukraine's figures usually exceeding those of its Western allies. Moscow rarely shares information on the number of casualties it has sustained in the war. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said on January 17th that it is vital that Ukraine retains the initiative in the war, which is approaching the 2-year mark. We want the end of the war to depend on Ukrainian actions. The world supports those who have a perspective. And this is a fundamental task to retain the initiative so that we can become stronger, he said in an address. In September 2022, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said 5,937 troops had been killed since the war began. The Defense Ministry has since reported casualty numbers a further 3 times, confirming the loss of another 162 troops, the BBC's Russian service reported. Like Moscow, Kyiv does not provide updated information on its own war casualties. A U.S. Defense Intelligence Agency assessment leaked in April 2023 said that Ukraine had suffered 124,500 to 131,000 casualties, including 15,500 to 17,500 dead. Shoigu said in December 2023 that Ukraine has lost more than 383,000 troops since the war began. Media could not independently verify the figures. Russia's defense ministry also provided figures on Ukraine's troop and equipment losses throughout the war. It was cited by Russia's state-run news agency Interfax as saying on Thursday that Ukraine has so far lost 568 aircraft, 265 helicopters, 11,140 unmanned aerial vehicles, 452 anti-aircraft missile systems, 14 Salon 768 tanks and other armored combat vehicles, 206 combat vehicles of multiple launch rocket systems, 7,146 field artillery guns and mortars, and 17,138 units of special military vehicles. The large-scale Russian attack aimed at the complete capture of Avdiivka has failed. The Kremlin has thereby flunked one of its self-imposed military objectives. Again. Russia has so far lost around 20,000 soldiers killed and wounded at Avdiivka, with drones capturing images of corpses strewn across the battlefield. Around 500 main battle tanks, infantry fighting vehicles, self-propelled howitzers, and other vehicles were destroyed. With this effort, Russia has so far gained around 15 km, 7.59 miles, of land north of Avdiivka, without being able to take the city. Since Russia regained the initiative along the entire front line at the end of last year, its forces have nevertheless been advancing along several sections of the front. In the northeast, it continues to direct heavy fire on Ukrainian territory to the north and south of Kupiansk. The course of the front remains unchanged so far, although Ukraine has evacuated some villages there. Following the failure to take Avdiivka, the next major Russian offensive effort is expected to take aim at Kupiansk, Ahead of Russia's presidential elections in March, there is political pressure to show some kind of presentable success. This is similar to last year's battle to take the town of Bakhmut, where political considerations seemed as important, or even subordinate, to the military goal. As many as 30,000 men died or were wounded in that campaign. Russia continues to attack west of Bakhmut and west of Mariinka, gaining a few hundred meters of terrain in both directions. Between Verbov and Robotyne, where Ukraine's main summer and autumn offensive took place, Russia has retaken some positions that Ukraine had recaptured at great cost during the earlier fighting. The losses of individual positions are psychologically bitter for Ukraine. However, the new defensive strategy of not holding every meter, but seeking to delay while concentrating on forcing Russia to pay a high human and material price, makes military sense. In addition, Russia is intensifying combined airstrikes using cruise missiles, ballistic missiles, drones, and converted S-300 missiles. These target infrastructure and are designed to cause terror to the civilian population on the one hand, while hitting Ukrainian arms industry production on the other. They are also used for propaganda on Russian television. So what about the rest of 2024? The Russian aim appears to be a continuation of the war at least until the US presidential elections, gaining as much territory as possible regardless of losses and defending the conquests made so far.
Identified teams are
Переведем пуск ракеты.